I am very passionate about teaching people's children, and I honestly won't shut up about it. I made a video last night discussing how the black teens that are terrorizing the Chicago streets are certainly not receiving a high quality education. And the thing is, let's talk about it. Let's talk about why black and brown students are committing these crimes at unimaginable rates. Let's discuss it. But it's certainly not just one person that we can point the finger at. Let's talk about why schools that house a large number of black students receive less per pupil funding than white schools. And that per pupil funding drops even lower for Hispanic students. Let's talk about the teacher quality. Finland has some of the best schools, and they have teachers that have degrees on top of degrees, master's degrees, doctoral degrees. Finland is very selective and exclusive when it comes to teaching. I believe only 10% of teachers get accepted into a teaching program. Let's talk about permissive parenting. It is not exclusive to the black community. White students also have permissive parents. Let's talk about culture and Asian students specifically, and let's be very specific when we talk about different ethnic subgroups, because not all Asian students are doing great. We see that Chinese students are doing great. We see that Korean students are doing great, but Vietnamese students and Filipino students are not doing great. So making a blanket statement that Asian communities or Asian students are making these strides, it's just simply not true. Now, Singapore is another great example. I just recently watched a video that Singapore students did super well on the PISA. And let's discuss how Asian students are typically coming from low-income families, and yet they're making strides in education. It is the culture, and it is the tiger moms and the authoritative, or not authoritative, authoritarian parenting. Let's talk about it. My point is, it is not one person to blame. It is not only families, it is not only students. And when you say that it is only students and families, I'm going to think that you're racist. Point blank, period.
No, I think that for the most part, I think that she's off. And she tried to qualify herself by saying, "Hey, I work with students." A lot of people work with students. I go into these schools, I tutor, I mentor. I've been working with young people for a long time, and I don't even know if she understands how schools get funded and where that funding come from. She's talking about Chicago. One of the things that was interesting about Chicago over the last 3 to 4 years is that they had an influx of migrants that then integrated into the school system, basically shepherded by Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. So when we start to have this conversation, let's first start off with truth. Okay? The first truth is that it all starts at home. A lot of us was raised in the hood without money, without resources, and we went to school and the teachers took care of the kids that actually cared about their education because their parents raised them right and their parents set in them a culture, Christian values, traditional values, two-parent household. A lot of people are having children out of wedlock. And so if we're not going to first start off with truth so that we can better understand exactly what is going on inside of these communities, inside of these households, it first start off at home. A lot of people are having children that they cannot afford to have. And when you start off from that perspective behind the eight ball, you combine that with the idea that they don't have a strong family structure, and now you have a double whammy before they ever even set foot in the school system. Also, let me preface this by saying that schools are often at times funded by what? Your property taxes. So if you have a community of people that do not or choose not to participate in making sure that their school system is funded, or they don't care about their neighborhoods, they don't care about the millages, they don't care about what is going on with city council and your aldermen, if you don't care about the city budget, if you don't care about how your administrators are managing the finances and the resources that would then lend to being able to fund these schools effectively, that then go up to the governor, and then we talking about the Department of Education, where they're trying to allocate the states to be more responsible for what is happening as far as the funds that are being distributed, and that shouldn't be the responsibility of the federal government itself. Now we're starting to get somewhere, right? So funding is distributed a lot of times, and I know this for a fact. One of the ways that they determine how much money a school is supposed to get is they do count day. And they've been doing this since the beginning of time. And this is why the Department of Education 100% has to be done on a specific day of the year, or sometimes two, depending on if they want to do it later in the year and in the beginning of the year. On a specific day of the year, they promote it. They say, hey, listen, everybody come to school on this day. Make sure you're in school. They reach out to the parents because they have to do count day. And count day then determines how many children is in a specific school. And then on top of that, that determines how much per pupil that school gets. On top of that, you also have millages, and millages extend not just to the public schools, but it also extends over into the community colleges and the resources that are distributed. So when you paying attention to the budget, when you're paying attention to what is introduced during election years and election cycles, when people say, oh man, I don't want to participate, or when you got the inner city participating at a less than 20% voter turnout rate, especially on off major national election cycles, that shows a reflection of the culture in the community. Then when you start to go into the parents in a household, two-parent household. So to an extent, she is right in that there is not a one thing or a one person or a one issue solution, but it then exacerbates itself to affect every single thing. And when you're not participating from a cultural norm, right? When you look at these teachers as overglorified babysitters, I've done countless videos and reactions to teachers, and I got another one coming up today. I've done countless reactions and videos to teachers saying, hey, listen, these kids are woefully unprepared. I can't teach them. I'm a substitute and I go to this district versus this district, and these parents take care of these kids much differently than these parents taking care of their kids. Hey, listen, it's not all about the money, it's about the culture. These kids don't want to listen. They know that they can call their mama, and their mama gonna come up here and cuss us out. That plays a role when you talk about Asian students. And she differentiated between Singapore, Chinese, Japanese, Vietnamese, and so on and so forth. You have to also understand that it's not that they just come from a not always from a well-to-do community, but often at times they do come from a cultural norm that champions education, that champions discipline. So they may not necessarily have a lot of money, but they may work hard, their parents may work hard in order to put them through school. And, it's a whole different mindset shift, which then again feeds into the narrative that, it's not all about resources, but it's about your culture. You adopt these cultures, you adopt all of these people. And again, they brought all of these migrants over here and they integrated them into Chicago schools. And then y'all had way more students per teacher. The teachers can't teach because, again, they're looked at as overglorified babysitters. They're dealing with a language barrier on top of that. And the people, and this is one of the biggest things, the people in the communities, in suburban communities that embrace traditional values, they have more and more and more time to participate in what is going on in the school system in their smaller communities, and they champion that. They show up, they volunteer. You have mothers that are not working, but they are going to practices. They being the soccer moms, they showing up at the parent-teacher conferences. They then have the ability to do that type of stuff. And so it is a bigger problem. But if you want to get mad and say that you're racist if you don't address the issue according to how you see it, because you think that it's all about their giving resources only this amount because it's only black people, that's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. And if you really want to understand it, you need to start participating in what goes on in your community. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. T-Channeling, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. I think that this is a conversation that's worthy of being had amongst the people that are watching this video. I'm curious as to what y'all think inside of the comments. Always giving credit to the content creator, so that'll link back in the description. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you guys later. Peace.